What's up guys, Noah here and welcome to Book of Showtime Chapter 9. As always, if you have a topic you want me to cover or a question you want me to answer for Book of Showtime, let me know in the comment section down below or anywhere you can reach me on social media or in the Book of Showtime Discord. So 2022 has come and gone and there's been a lot of fantastic games. From Seafood to Elden Ring, from Modern Warfare 2 to God of War Ragnarok, we've had some truly impressive drops this year. Unfortunately, not every game is a banger, and in today's chapter I've gathered a few games that just didn't hit for one reason or another. Number 5, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobe. Destroy All Humans Reprobe was a game I played solely because of lockdown. I never played the originals, but I figured with all the extra free time, why not? The game was a solid experience, and I really just had a good time playing through the campaign and enjoying a story that didn't take itself too seriously. When a remaster to the sequel was announced, I was very pleased as I assumed I'd be getting another quality 10-hour experience, especially with the announcement trailer being really great, and that's always a big problem when the trailer is good and the game is not. When I finally got my hands on the game though, it was just outright boring. It didn't feel any different from its predecessor, and I was practically forcing myself to play the game after the first hour before I eventually just had to pull the plug and uninstall. There was really just nothing special about the follow-up, and the story wasn't that good either in my opinion. It's a shame because I was really looking forward to a relaxing experience with this game, but my expectations were met with disappointment. Number 4, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Tiny Tina was a game that intrigued me from the first trailer. The D&D themed looter shooter set in the Borderlands universe sounds great on paper, but it's on this list for a reason. Once I got into the game, nothing did it for me. The classes weren't fulfilling, the plot was mundane, the characters were boring and really formulaic, and the weapons were abysmal. How can a Borderlands game have abysmal weapons? I was fresh off of playing Borderlands 3, and if Tiny Tina's was half as good as 3, that would have been something I can tolerate, but there's really not much about Wonderlands that I find redeemable, unlike this next game, which has nothing redeemable. Number 3, Saints Row. Saints Row was a game I really wanted to be good. I grew up playing 2 and 3, and they were great games, with 2 having a really good plot. It was like a sneaky good plot because you'd think that Saints Row is this goofy game, and this told a good story. I wasn't impressed with the characters in the trailers, design and personality wise, but the gameplay and early footage looked solid enough. Similar to how I felt about Wonderlands. If Saints Row was on the level of Saints Row 3, that would be something I can tolerate because I enjoy these style of open world games. But man, when the game came out, the streets were slandering it. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my goodness, it could not be that bad. Not only did the game have terrible writing and a razor-thin plot, but it was full of bugs and game-breaking glitches. The game has since been patched, but you just can't patch terrible writing and terrible gameplay structure. The Saints Row franchise was always aware of itself and didn't care that it was the quote-unquote other GTA, but this reboot feels like the game is making fun of itself. It's really weird. I picked up Saints Row on sale, but even $25 felt like too much. I can't call the story garbage because that would just be disrespectful to actual trash. I was only able to play about an hour of this mess before I stopped because honestly I'm at the point where I'm just not going to force myself to play bad games, and Saints Row, despite how much I really want to enjoy it, it's just terrible. Number 2, Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is actually the only game on this list that I think is pretty good, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a massive disappointment across the board. Now, I know I'm going from PC to PS5, but the graphics are a letdown, and I know my PS5 is stronger than my PC, which for context was built way back in January 2016. The models just seem a bit dated and kind of lazy compared to the first game. They don't feel as detailed or polished. Now, as a graphics last guy, this is something I can easily overlook. As far as gameplay goes, there's a lot of changes from the first game, and while I can't go over all of them as that would take a long time, I can talk about a few major ones. Switching to 5v5 was dynamic, yes, but I personally feel like tanks are just much weaker compared to Overwatch 1, when in fact they should be stronger if you're going to go from just having 2 tanks to 1 tank. I feel like Doomfist and Junker Queen in particular have a bit of an identity crisis, as they kind of don't feel tanky enough, and they feel more like DPS with a lot of health, as opposed to other bigs like Reinhardt and D.Va who could really lock down a point. Second, the game clearly was not tested enough, as there were a laundry list of issues and bugs plaguing the launch week of the game, which led to heroes being outright disabled for a long time and key features outright not working. Imagine if this is your first time playing Overwatch. Now, this wouldn't be a big deal, but they shut down the original Overwatch 1, so it's not like you can go back and play that one while 2 gets its issues ironed out. You had to wait until Overwatch 2 was playable. Third and last, they removed a lot of little things. Medals are gone. Post-match cards are gone. Endorsements have been changed to only endorse teammates and without giving a reason. There used to be multiple reasons why you can give someone endorsements, and that to me was really valuable, but now it's just, hey, this guy just did a good job, I guess. Loot boxes are gone, forcing players to spend insane amounts of money or grind a tedious battle pass for new cosmetics. The fire system is gone despite the voice lines remaining in the game. Player levels are hidden, you don't get rewarded for playing arcade, and priority passes are gone. Now, a lot of these things are just pure quality of life features, but the fact that they were streamlined or outright stripped entirely is completely backwards. Overwatch 2 gets a few things right, and they get enough of the things you need to get right, if that makes sense, but there's still a lot of cons to the game, and then overall, it makes the entire product suffer. Number 1, Signalis. Signalis finds itself here because I was really excited to play it way more than the other games on this list, and I even played it longer than every game on this list minus Overwatch 2. It was an interesting take on the classic survival horror gameplay you'd see in a Resident Evil or Silent Hill of yesterday, but its vague and melancholy vibe, it really made it stand out. Once it was announced that Signalis would be dropping day 1 on Xbox Game Pass, it was a no-brainer that I would be playing it. And for the first 2 or 3 hours, it lived up to the hype, but then the game fell off a cliff and got old quick. It was like, whoa, hold on, this game is bad, what happened? The limited inventory meant repeated backtracks, and that slowed the pacing of the game to a crawl. And a key word to take away from that sentence, repeated. Essentially every area of the game has the same goal. Find 6 keys to open a big door. And when you think you're reaching the climax of the game, you're right back into another tedious and mind-numbing series of fetch quests. The puzzles were annoyingly difficult, and even the boss fights can be a little confusing on how to go about dispatching your adversaries. And once I learned the game had multiple endings based on how you played, not performed, how you played, I just had to stop. The game was just plainly too much for its own good. When you play a classic Resident Evil, the tempo and the flow of the game increases as you push towards the climax, but Signalis stalled out big time, ruining what could have been one of the finer games of 2022. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and share this video with your friends, and let me know in the comment section down below what were your biggest disappointments of 2022. Inshallah, I will see you in the next chapter.